A very good afternoon to all of you. Hope the screen is visible and we'll be starting definitely in 5 more minutes. There are people joining in, so request all to wait for 5 minutes. Thank you. A very good afternoon to all of you. Hope I'm audible to all of you. Thank you so much for joining in the perfect time of 3 o'clock. Kindly please confirm if I'm audible and also visible,
Yes, sir.
and the PPT is also visible.
Yeah, PPTs are also
Yes,
visible.
great. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, so it's 3 almost past. So, considering the importance of time for all of us, let us start today's session. First of all, once again, a good afternoon to all of you. Hope you're all doing well. I welcome you, all of you, to the Faculty Development Program, which we are conducting online on the topic dealing with and teaching the Gen Z students. As the topic goes, I think all of us being into the teaching fraternity, somewhere or the other, we must have encountered some uncomfortableness or some issues or some problems when dealing or teaching to Gen Z. And therefore, today's topic is not just about how to teach the Gen Z, but also how to deal with the Gen Zs. I'm happy to share that we have participants from across India today, like from cities Pune, Mumbai, Nashik, Chhatrapati Shivaji Nagar, that is Aurangabad, which was previously called as Kolkata, New Delhi, and Kerala. I welcome you all again to the Faculty Development Program today. Just a brief about the National Forum for Learning, Innovation and Growth. I'm sure that you must have received emails from my email ID, and as on behalf of the NFLIG, the National Forum for Learning, Innovation and Growth is a national initiative dedicated to nurturing India's education, training, learning development ecosystem. We have a strong focus on knowledge sharing, community building, and impact driven engagement. NFLIG brings together students, teachers, professors, learning and development professionals, HR professionals, EdTech professionals, e learning professionals, educators as a whole, thought leaders, and corporate workforce and organizations to engage in a meaningful dialogue, celebrate milestones, and evolve best practices for the future of work and learning. National Forum is a forum founded by education and learning development professionals like me, having more than 2 decades of experience, and we are dedicated to nurturing India's education, learning, and development ecosystem as a whole. The best part, which we have initiated nationally, is celebrating the National Learning and Development Day, 24th of June every year. And yes, this is this month. The founder president is I, that is Dr. Anand Wadadekar, and we also have a vice president. Her name is Amita Karve. As we start the FDP today, we all know the classrooms have changed, the learners have changed, the technology has changed, obviously. The world of work has therefore changed a lot. Naturally, the way we teach and engage students must evolve as well. As educators, we often find ourselves reflecting on important questions. Maybe like why do students learn differently today than before? What truly motivates them right from coming to college, attendance, doing the studies, submitting projects, etc.? And how do we keep them engaged in the age of constant digital distraction? Gen Z is not just another student generation. They are the first generation born into a fully digital world. They are confident, connected, curious, and purpose driven. However, at the same time, they challenge us to rethink traditional approaches to teaching, learning, mentoring, and student engagement as a whole. Today, we have an exceptional panel comprising a school principal, a college principal, a management dean, an engineering head, and a teaching expert who will share their unique perspectives on how educators can better connect, guide, and inspire Gen Z learners. I would like to welcome our expert speakers for today. We have Dr. Livia PV. She is MA English, MA and PhD in education. She is the principal of Holy Grace Academy School, Kerala, a very passionate educator and enthusiastic learner herself. She carries more than 10 years of experience. Dr. Livia, I welcome you to the FDP today and thank you so much for coming in. Dr. Livia,
Thank you so much, Anand. Thank you.
we have a next speaker, that is Dr. Kanika Ahuja. She is a PhD psychology and principal, Lady Shri College for Women, Delhi University. She carries experience of more than 25 years in teaching and research. She is a very well-known personality in and around Delhi for her work she has been doing all these years. Welcome, Dr. Kanika Ahuja.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. We have our next expert, Dr. Amit Patil. He is a Bachelor of Engineering, an MBA, and a PhD as well. He is currently the Dean of School of Management, now popularly called as Pune Management School at Pimpri-Chinchwad University, Pune. He carries experience of 20 plus years in teaching, student development, research, and administration. Welcome, Dr. Amit.
Thank you, Dr. Anand. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
Pleasure, sir. We have a next expert, Dr. Pranoti Mane. She is a Bachelor of Engineering as well as a Master's in Engineering and a PhD as well. She is currently the head of department for Electronics and Telecommunications at Modern Education Society's Wadia College of Engineering, Pune. She as well carries experience of more than 25 years in teaching, student development, and research. Dr. Pranoti, I welcome you to the FDP today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for inviting me.
And we have another expert, Dr. Sophia Gaikwad. She is an MA, MA, and a PhD. She currently is heading the Symbiosis Teaching Learning Resource Center under the Symbiosis International University, Pune. She carries more than 20 years of experience in teaching, faculty development, and research. Dr. Sophia, I welcome you today.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anand. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you.
And last but not the least, the person currently speaking, I am Dr. Anand Wadadekar. I do have all those useless qualifications, I would say, compared to the speakers today. I am founder president of National Forum for Learning, Innovation and Growth, India. I carry more than 20 years of experience in the industry, teaching, career counseling, entrepreneurship, and authoring. I'll be the moderator for today's faculty development program. Dear participants, hope you are all able to hear us and see us and the PPT as well. I request the speakers to keep their videos on so that the participants can see you. So let's start as far as the discussion around the topic of dealing and teaching the Gen Z today. I would request Dr. Livia PV to start the faculty development program with her talk and insights and experience as far as school education and dealing with Gen Z today goes. Dr. Livia, to you.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to see the other panelists. I hope we can have a very positive uh, discussion with a great output. So, I am dealing with a group of people who are at the fag end of Gen Z, what we call Gen Z. Because when we look at the year, Gen Z happens to be from 1997 to 2012. So my secondary and senior secondary learners, they fall in this. And I also host a group of Gen Alpha as well as maybe, like the starting little steps of Gen Beta as well, because we have students from pre-primary as well, pre-KG, that is starting with 2 years, 2.5 years. So when I am talking about Gen Z, I am mostly focusing on my junior secondary and senior secondary learners. When we look at them, when we talk about this term Gen Z, it's almost overrated, I suppose. Everybody, teachers will start speaking in such a way that it's a huge challenge, a huge task that, ma'am, they are Gen Z learners. They don't understand us, we don't understand them. But then that I would tell them we are blessed to have them in our life because we get to learn as millennials and maybe the older generations, we get to learn a lot of things from them. And we relearn the things that we have learned. And this Gen Z is the valuable addition to human race. I would say that they are focusing on how to unwind all the generational dysfunctions that we had because they are not scared anymore. They know the things what they want. And they are emotionally aware, very much aware, but at the same time, they are parallelly the most anxious lot that we have. We can say that because their emotional regulation is much higher than millennials and the older generations. This is number one. Number two is they were in their prime when this global crisis was going on in terms of pandemic, financial crisis, and everything. So they are every day, every time they are looking into a what you call a danger zone. They are expecting such things, and their reactions and responses will be according to that. It's very quick. The response is very quick, and these are the generation. This is the generation that is they can talk lots of psychological terminologies like boundaries, personal space, and emotional awareness. They educate us saying that we should keep the boundaries, we should have the emotional awareness and all. And as I said that they can empower us through making us open our eyes towards how emotionally intelligent we should be. So this is the scenario in which from which we are talking about the Gen Zs. So when I look into the classroom, I'm teaching. I'm a teacher as well for them, senior secondary section. I handle the subject of psychology for the 11th graders for the past 5 years. So when we look into their classroom reality of junior secondary, senior secondary children, they don't have a rigid hierarchy there. For us, it was like, the teacher comes into the class, we stand up and wish, we listen to the teachers, we write down the lecture notes, and, like they ask questions, and that's the end of it. But for them, it's highly dynamic. They don't want to be, it's a one person talk. Education has been talking about this. I am sure that we all remember our B.Ed days, when we were learning about education. The books were saying that the teacher is the guide by side, not the sage on stage. But even after learning so many things, we were not up to that. We were not able to do that in the classroom. But the Gen Z has proved that we teachers can actually be the mentors by their side. And they need active learning, and their learning should be collaborative. If it should not be one-on-one and project-based, and complete learner autonomy they demand. It's not like, I can decide what the project. For my senior secondary children, for example, when I give a particular project or assignment, I tell them, you pick which way you want to do it. Do you want to shoot a reel? Do you want to make a short video out of it? Do you want to write? So at the same time, we give the learner autonomy as well as we cater into their multiple intelligence in terms of psychology. So that is what the new classroom reality is like, the accountability, the approachability, rather than the rigidity. That's what they demand. And next thing is the teaching strategies that we have to apply is they are more like visual learners, whatever it is, because the social media influence, they look into the devices, they have their screen time, and they make sure that their learning also is involving that. Otherwise, you won't get their attention. And our standard classroom space duration is mostly 40 minutes. Now, there are schools and colleges who try out with 30 minutes, 35 minutes. But still, this was set for when we were learning the theory, 10 minutes of introduction. Then we used to have 15 to 20 minutes of learning, and then there is a conclusion at the end, 10 minutes. But now we know that the standard reel that we see in Instagram, it has less than 2 minutes. It was 3 minutes before, 2 years before. Now it was 2 minutes last year. Now it's less than 1 minute. So we have to give them as bite-sized things in the classroom. Like in our school, we practice something called as brain dump. Brain dump is nothing but I will teach them, it may be a 20 minutes lecture. I teach them or discuss with them for 5 minutes, and I tell them, note down whatever they have understood. It may be, related with what I taught. It may be something they think. And we practice this in all the classes. And we train the teachers, especially how to practice brain dump in the classes, so that attention width we can get a pick on. Otherwise, there is no use in you lecturing the class. And I'll be very short here, and we give case studies also. For example, I was teaching regarding how to deal with learning theories I was teaching. So like one case study I gave from the school itself, there was a kid in first standard who was continuously crying. So I gave this case study to my kids, 11th standard psychology kids, like what can be the reason? You find out, you learn about this case study and you find out the facts, and they were able to come up with more. So if we give them the freedom, we give them their independence, that you can actually come up with a concept which can be practically applicable, that works more than textbooks. So that is about the teaching strategies. And one more thing that I learned from the school is learn and adapt as a teacher myself, as a principal myself. So whenever I look at children, I talk with them, they do come for small talks. Whenever we talk, I ask like, how was the lecture and how was the teaching, how was the teacher? They do give a very sincere feedback. It's not like us millennials, we tend to sugarcoat things. They are not like that. They'll say that, ma'am, it was too lengthy. Ma'am, it was too dry. You told us to write more. So I always listen to them and we try to adapt. So every class is kind of an adventure for us nowadays, because whatever they give, they also give me Insta comments, Insta messages saying that, ma'am, this is. So the next class, I'll try to apply that, and it's kind of interesting for them also. So that is regarding the teaching strategies that we actually can apply in the school. Then their mental health and emotional well-being. So in the starting itself, I've shared that though they are emotionally well aware of themselves, but that itself makes them anxious. They are overwhelmed. They know that when their boundaries are being cut, when they are not able to express themselves. So this makes them more anxious. So try to understand from their perspective. And when compared to the previous generations, depression and anxiety cases are more. Our school, we have something called as inclusive wing, as well as 3 or 4 full-time counselors, plus a clinical psychologist. So children are more aware, they themselves come. We have students from abroad countries also, they come in, and their difficulties will be different. Adjustment problems and depression, clinical depression, all these cases we do get. So try to understand them, because more the awareness is, more they will be overwhelmed. So that emotional safety, psychological safety, we should be able to give it to them in the educational spaces. And one important thing is the digital overload. We cannot stop them, because this is the way the society is growing. Let's look it into a positive way. We cannot say that, why are you using this much device? Look at our device time. We do use social media, we do use, this is the platform that we all are together now. So we cannot stop anybody, but in between you can make them know the difference. So for this, one tool can be used as the digital detox day. That also we are trying to get into schedule. That is every month, one day it's going to be digital detox. This is applicable for the learners as well as their parents, teachers, everybody. So that one day, we don't do anything that is involving devices, including our smart panels. So we don't touch any of them. It's the old Gurukula system. We will go back. So such small things we can endeavor, so that this digital toxicity can be minimized, but we cannot avoid it. We have to live with it. It is like our, like a third arm nowadays. So negating is it is not going to work. And slightly we may have to change their ways in the classroom also, usages of computers, laptops, and everything. And it's slightly changing. People are understanding that. So when we look into this classroom behavior and teaching strategies changes and their mental health and well-being, the student expectations are changing from what we have to offer. Educators, educationists have to offer. We millennials, we were very, we had our paths sorted, I would say, like when you are 20 years old, your degree, post graduation, then you learn more, then you get a job, you become well settled and everything. But for them, it starts very early. Now, if I ask a 17-year-old, 16-year-old learner in my campus, the only regret that they don't have a startup. They don't have an entrepreneurship, like a startup with them, because many of their other learners, other friends, classmates have the same. So their career wise, their vision is changing. So that is their expectation also from our side is changing. They need more practical applications rather than just the theory. Like if you learn this, you can go there. They need the sudden gratification, instant gratification about things. So that's how the expectations are changing, and their information processing, it's very quick and short also. You cannot expect them to sit there for half an hour and talk to you. And even if they come for counseling, the same thing we can see. They just want to finish it off fast, unless and until they are emotionally burdened. Okay, and they need clarity. Whenever we give a project or anything, we cannot just say that do as you wish. We had, classrooms when teachers used to give the concept and say that, okay, this has to be an essay. You can write in your own mind. That does not work. We need to have instructions pasted to them, because their attention is we have to respect that also. But then slightly we have to educate them that cognition window has to be expanded a bit. That is needed, because it is getting reduced. So that we have to be aware of. And in all these realms, how we can make a meaningful student relationship. So if you look at my school, I can proudly say that generation gap, what we call, Gen Zs different, millennials different, they can even joke about all these things, and we talk with the children, and children come for, mini conversations when I do the rounds. So that much of freedom has to be given, but then we have to be firm, gentle, but firm. So empathy, the digital fluency. As educators, I would say that more than Gen Z, this was all what Gen Z has to do. But when we look at the relationship curation between a student and educator, I would say that we have to be digitally literate. And there is something called as Gen Z lingo. So try to learn that. When they say that, benching is happening, you should be able to find out what is this benching. Situationship is going on. So Gen Z lingo is there. If we are a little bit fluent, we will be able to understand. They will open up a little more, clocking it in. So when you are giving a speech, they'll be doing all these things. So if you don't understand, it becomes an insult for an elderly teacher. But then if you try to understand it, that's okay. And they are very they try to be friends with you rather than a teacher and a student, but then within the boundaries. That's what we have to understand. Empathy is much needed. The digital fluency, the mutual respect that we have, that is very important. And advice is a no-no. Advice, we don't go for advices. I only state the purpose, why we are saying this. So if it's okay with you, you do it. And obviously they will do if the purpose is clear for them. And then the psychological safety that we provide. So these are the main things I wanted to talk about. And one more thing, as a psychology teacher, there is something called as, egocentrism in each stage. So when it comes to the adolescents, the junior secondary, senior secondary, adolescent kids, one thing is happening is universal audience and personal fable. They will believe that what my story is, everybody should understand. It is irrespective of the generation, it is there. So with all these things, we have to understand this particular section also. Universal audiences, even if they do have a small pimple here, they think that everybody in the campus is looking at that thing. So that is also there. So psychologically also we try to understand them, and we can bring about slight changes in our personality as educators so that we can have a very good rapport and a very good environment in our educational institutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Livia. It was really wonderful. The Gen Z lingo, which you particularly said, it was really awesome, and definitely that we have to adapt to, and definitely we have to learn it as educators to understand their language of Gen Z language, which we call as. Thank you so much, Dr. Livia. It was really all the positives which you showed in your talk. They were really wonderful. And as far as school level education goes, we all know that school education is the start of education for any child. So that's a very critical domain, I would say, as far as the entire education spectrum goes. And that's when we say that it's the starting point. So it's very much crucial. It's very much critical as well. And we as educators in schools also are, wanting to do many things for the students. And yes, as you rightly said, there may be or may not be a kind of a hype for Gen Z, but that's what is being in general, in totality, in the industry, in the market, in parents, in teachers as well. So thank you once again, Dr. Livia, for all your thoughts. Let's move to Dr. Kanika Ahuja, who comes from the college level education background. Dr. Kanika, we are really wanting to have your views now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anand. And Dr. Livia, it was very nice to listen to your thoughts. And I'm also from the field of psychology, now in the role of an administrator. So what I'm going to talk about today combines my hats as a teacher, educator, a psychologist, and now the principal of one of the leading colleges of the country. And it's, I would really want to first ask all of you, what is the biggest frustration that all of us as educators, as teachers have with Gen Z? We often talk about Gen Z and we talk about, ye sunte nahi hai, ye hai, wo hai. But what is the one biggest frustration that I think we will be perhaps united in? I would think that is the answer, but I would like to know what do you think is your biggest frustration with Gen Z as a teacher? Dr. Anand.
No, as far as frustration, I would not term it particularly
Okay.
as a frustration, but definitely when I go to teach in colleges and schools as well, I definitely get maybe what you call distracted or some kind of
Hmm.
uncomfortableness
Hmm.
or something like that
Right.
when students are not being serious about what is being told to them.
So
That's
I
one
think
aspect which
one
I observe.
Absolutely. I was hoping you will touch upon their being distracted and attention, because I think as a principal, when I speak to my faculty and I ask them what is the one thing that you wish you could change about Gen Z, I think the number one thing that comes across is better attention. And often we also as educators label them as having poor attention and bad attention spans, and they don't listen to us and all of that. And so there are a couple of points that I wanted to make about this. The first, as Dr. Livia also said, that we have to remember Gen Z as being digital natives. So we have learned to adapt, we have tried to use technology in our own manner. But with them, they have been digital natives right from the word go, right from the time they were born. So their attention spans definitely are much, much, much shorter. And of course, we talk about all kinds of things. We talk about, Dr. Livia touched upon Insta Reels and, in shorts. They don't read a newspaper, they read in shorts. And this is another question that I often ask in my class, that do you read the newspaper? And nobody reads the paper newspaper anymore, which I do, my husband does. We get 2 3 newspapers at our home even now. I don't know till how long we will do that, but this generation either uses a phone on the app, or they use in shots, they read in shots. So their attention definitely is differently wired than us millennials. uh, so I think, as Dr. Livia also said, it's a 30-minute classroom or a 40-minute classroom. In the college, it's a 50-minute classroom, 1 hour. 1 hour. So you take away attendance, the actual teaching time is about 50 minutes. It's a lot. It's a lot of time for a student to be attentive. I think even when we are speaking, if I speak for 50 minutes, I don't think anyone can pay attention. So it's a lot to expect from them. So one thing that as educators we have to remember is to give them some kind of a reset every 8 to 10 minutes. Now, if that means we give them a visual aid, we give them a small exercise, we give them some kind of a poll, some kind of a demo, some kind of a question is asked, anything just to break the monotony, that is an absolute must. You can't have a one-way interaction and expect students to understand. That's one. The second point I wanted to talk about was autonomy, the question of choice. This generation, more than ever before, wants autonomy. It could be a slightly misplaced also, but they want to feel that they are in control. So when you give them a choice, and of course they've grown up with choice. We have gone to for instance, we've gone to a movie theater when there was only one movie playing. Now they've all grown up on multiplexes. They have Netflix and they have so many apps to watch even a simple series from. So they are spoiled for choice, no doubt about it. They have Insta filters, they have Snapchat, they have all kinds of devices. They're spoiled for choice, no doubt about it. So in the classroom, if we don't give them that choice, they just feel completely alienated. So, even if it's a simple choice as would you want to do X or Y? Would you want to study this topic first or that topic first? Simple choices which do not make such a huge difference to how we teach, what we teach. These are things that we must offer to them wherever possible. For instance, whenever we fix an assignment, so for us, it's a very large classroom. So the date of the assignment is dependent on the teacher in the class. We often ask the students, and every time there will be 1 or 2 students who will be absent, and then they'll come and we'll have to take a retest and so on. So we always ask the students in class. We go with at least 3 4 days. We do a poll, or we said, okay, the class, give your options to the class rep, and we'll decide your date of the class assignment. Similarly, the nature of the assignment. Do you want an MCQ? Do you want a long answer? Do you want this? Do you want that? And sometimes we also do that differently for different kinds of students. So offer them choice wherever possible and however much you can offer. The third thing to remember is that this generation is wired differently in terms of, I think their default filter is, why should I care? And it's, if you ask them to do anything, I think the first thing that comes to them is why should I do this? In fact, when my daughter was growing up, she's absolutely Gen Z. So now I've grown up sort of understanding where they are coming from. And to me, the first surprise came when she was a young child. I think she was probably in grade 5 or something. And at that time, and they had these, holiday homeworks and lots of work in holiday homework, and they had to make a file and all that. So I would often tell her, I said, just show me your file and what have you made? She would say, why? I said, what do you mean, why? I want to see. She says, why? I said, because I can guide you better and your answer will become better. Why? How does it matter? So I said, maybe you'll get 2 more marks. How would that matter? Why do I need 2 more marks? I said, okay, forget marks. Maybe your teacher will say, very good. How would that matter? So for every them, and that of course I was facing as a mother, but as a teacher, as a principal, as an administrator, answer to the question, why? What's in it for me is a very important question to answer. And they are really less motivated by grades and marks and wanting to please a teacher or wanting to please an authority figure, which I think was our default setting. We would do anything to make our teacher feel happy. If a teacher would say, oh, well done, I think I would be on cloud 9 for the rest of the day, if not more. I don't think they care pretty much. What I think is more important to them is if you can show what you are doing in terms of, let's say, an assignment or a particular internship that you are trying to do. How is it linked to your career skills? How is it linked to things that matter to them, like social justice, gender equality, climate, mental health, anything that's important to them? If you show the link between what they are studying and what their future goals are, or how, for instance, I teach at a premier college. So here students have very, very noble ideas about how they want to change the world, and I want to work in this field and I want to do community engagement. So if you show what you are doing, how is it linked to making the world a better place, making the world a more equitable place, or climate friendly and all of that, then they are more motivated. So the question of why, I think that is something that we have to answer. The next point, I think, somewhat is Dr. Livia also spoke about how they are visual learners. So instead of making our PPTs and whatever audio visual material that we use, breaking it up and not using too much of text and trying to use things that they like. And often I do this when I have to make a PPT. I make a basic PPT. Now, of course, there's AI, but this is pre-AI. I would tell them, okay, now jazz it up. So they would use all kinds of cartoons and links and all of that. And those are things that they are excited about. So we have to be like them in many, many ways and speak the language that they understand. So a lot of visual content, diagrams, mind maps, and so on. The next point is, of course, phones. Now, I remember when phones came in, at that time, in the beginning, we would tell them that you can't use phone. And I would be very annoyed. And I'm talking about, I don't know, maybe 12 years back or 15 years back when phones had just come in. And at that time, we would tell them, oh, you can't keep your phones outside. And if I see a phone, I'll confiscate the phone and all of that. And we did do that in the beginning. Now, of course, we are talking about adults. So, and in a college, they're all adults. They have a right to a phone. You can't fight with a phone all the time. So now we've stopped saying that don't take out your phone, I will confiscate, don't look at your phones. They will. So the idea is to not tell them not to use a phone, but to redirect it. So a good teacher move would be to make them use their phones, maybe use a poll, maybe use things like Mentimeter, where we ask them a question and then they're answering that on the phone so that they feel still connected. We all know that there is not just a FOMO, but there is an absolute desire to touch their phones at all times. So if they're away from the phone, there is genuine anxiety. So let them touch their phones. We have to make the phone a aid like a pen. So earlier we would write things, make them use a phone, it's okay. And some students will sort of screen out, well, so be it. The other issue is that of anxiety and psychological safety, and making our classrooms safe spaces before we can convert them into smart spaces. So there is no doubt about it, and it is documented. Gen Z is the most anxious generation on record. And there are plenty of surveys about how, with regard to depression, with regard to anxiety, they are really, really high. And you can't blame them. They have seen COVID. Of course, all of us also saw the pandemic for the first time. But imagine their generation, which has seen the pandemic, they've seen deaths, they have had a absolutely close encounter with death at such a young age. It has left them traumatized. There is no doubt about it. So they are very, very anxious. They had also issues of climate, issues of taking away jobs because of AI. These are very, very real threats to them. War, they're growing up in war. Just look at the world around us and how complicated the world is. We don't even have a clear world order right now. The largest of the world superpower, Russia, is in a fight for the last war for the last 5 years, and it's not ceasing. US, I don't know what is it that they gained after this war. It seems to be just loaded in Iran's direction even now. So the world order has also completely changed. Whatever we teach them about superpower, I don't know how much of a superpower they are. So they are growing up with this kind of anxiety and this kind of uncertainty. So therefore, we have to make our classrooms safe spaces. A lot of times when we ask a question and there is complete silence and nobody wants to answer, it's not because they are being disrespectful or they don't know the answer, or uh, it's simply that they are scared of answering because they don't want to give the wrong answer or they don't want to look like a fool. So that is something that we need to acknowledge and make the classroom a safe space and say it's okay to be incorrect. Talk about your own examples and how you have often said stupid things and then laugh at yourself. The ability to use humor in a classroom is also very, very important to make you more approachable and more real. Which brings me to the next point of authenticity. I think in today's time, gone were the days when teachers could get away with saying whatever because students could not get the correct answer. We could often say things and get away with it because it would be very difficult for a student to find the right answer. Today, the right answer is right there on their phone. So if I say something wrong and if I have a difficult student, she can Google the answer right now and challenge me in class right then and there. So today, if you acknowledge and you say, okay, I don't know the answer, give me some time. I will come back and I will share this with you in the next class. They love it if you are real. You admit we are not supposed to know everything. It's okay. So instead of pretending that, we know it all and you better listen to us, it's better to be real. I think that is very important, to be authentic, to show that we are human, to show that we are not fake. So I think, and to be come across as vulnerable, that's fine. And the last thing is peer-to-peer learning. So we've spoken about, things like the flipped classroom. Instead of us taking the onus of their learning, we have to share the onus of learning with our learners. And that's why we like to believe that we are learners too. We are learning from them every day. So the peer-to-peer learning works absolutely beautifully. So often give them presentations, break a topic where each person takes a little part and they come prepared with certain kind of answers. You say, well, I don't know this answer. Perhaps you can find it out and bring it in the next class. So encourage this peer-to-peer learning, because then the classroom becomes a more egalitarian place and it works that much better. So they will pay attention. Their attention will go wherever there is relevance. So remember, it has to be relevant to them. Remember, as I said, what's in it for me? Why should I care? They have to respect you and you have to come across as real. So the attention will go wherever there is respect, relevance, and realness. And I think as teachers, one of the things that we struggle with when we are talking about Gen Z is basic human values like civic consciousness, respect for the environment, switching off of lights and not messing up the environment or not throwing things here and there. And most important, I would say gratitude. Often when we see them in class, things like standing up for the teacher, wishing a teacher in the corridor when you cross them. These are things that are now missing in today's generation. And I think as educators, we need to discuss this, even if it makes us feel a little old fashioned. I don't think we should shy away with teaching them the importance of gratitude. So for instance, in our college, we have a gratitude day and I want to take it to a gratitude week. So in that gratitude day, the students are encouraged to, and we involve the students union in organizing this gratitude day. So the students are involved in this gratitude day. So they have to say thank you to all and everybody. So starting with the guard to the people who are cleaning the classrooms, to the administrative staff, to the people in the library, to the faculty, you have to thank everyone around you. So, the importance of gratitude and the importance of basic human values, I think as educators, we need to inculcate in our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kanika. Your insights were really, really amazing. And particularly what you said about they are differently wired. So when we say that they are differently wired, definitely we as educators, what I got from your talk is that definitely we as educators need to also evolve, transform, and change for the differently wired Gen Z. And they should be given choices, as you rightly said, which were not maybe given at our age at that time. And yes, you rightly said that they are most ambitious generation. So it has positives, it has negatives also. And Dr. Kanika, you really said it amazing that using humor in classrooms really helps. Really, that was a great point you made. And the peer-to-peer learning definitely is the need of the hour, because this is also happening at the higher education level also. Dr. Kanika, it was again really thankful to you for all those insights. It was really great to hear all those experiences as well. We come to our third speaker, Dr. Amit. Dr. Amit,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yes,
Am I
Dr.
audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Yes.
Okay. So good afternoon, all the distinguished panel members. Indeed, it's a privilege to be part of this faculty development program organized by National Forum for Learning, Innovation and Growth. Special thanks to Dr. Anand Wadadekar. And the topic is very unique and very relevant, and it's most important topic for discussion, dealing with and teaching the Gen Z students. I'm currently heading the BB and MBA programs under Pune Management School, Pimpri-Chinchwad University, where I'm currently dealing with more than 500 students, those who are pursuing their BB and MBA programs across various disciplines. So the very first question which comes in the mind of all faculty members to understand the Gen Z students. They are having different expectations. Their way of understanding things are different. So there are many challenges which are faced by the faculty members, especially in the higher education institutes and university like us. So as rightly said by Dr. Livia and Dr. Kanika, the Gen Z students are having a very limited or short attention span. Being a university which comes under UGC, University Grants Commission, so one credit is equal to 1 hour per week of teaching load. So 1 hour teaching for the faculty members, it is creating a lot of problems while teaching and delivering to all the students, because the students are having very short attention span. So we are trying our level best to overcome such kind of problems of Gen Z by various means and ways. The second problem and the challenges what we have encountered is information overload. Like the students have access to unlimited information and often lack of the ability to critical thinking, and even our role is no longer to provide information, but to help students to develop their critical thinking skills. Then, of course, the reduced classroom engagement. The engagement of the students throughout the 1 hour in the classroom is really a big challenge nowadays for all the faculty members, those who are teaching to the higher education. And of course, the other panel member discuss about the mental health and stress. So these are the two important things that we need to take care while delivering or teaching to the Gen Z students. So they are like feeling more academic pressure, their career uncertainty, social comparisons through social media, increasing mental health challenges. So education institutes must recognize that student success is not only academics, but it is also depends on their emotional and psychological development. So they are get more stress. Like I would like to quote one example of one of our students. So they are more comparative with other students. They are more into the reels and the short videos that they are following. So that is a very simple example. Like if any student is posting something on the social media, and if he or she is getting less likes than the other student who is posting on social media, they got stress. They get in a comparative mode, that they are thinking that why my friend is getting more likes and the subscriptions than me. So that is also a very quick reaction which is like showing by the Gen Z students. So that is also a point of worry for the faculty members when they are in the campus. And how should we teach the Gen Z students? So that is also a important point for discussion. So I always inform the faculty members. Being a dean of this school, I always talk to the faculty members. I always take a review from the faculty members, like how the students are going ahead, what are the different teaching learning methods that you are adopting to teach to the Gen Z students. So I always ask to the faculty members, like, don't ask yourself like how can I complete my syllabus. You should ask yourself that how should I ensure the meaningful learning. So our focus is more on the learning approach than to complete the syllabus. So integrate the technology with the teaching learning methods. The different teaching methodologies and pedagogies should adapt by the faculty members. So nowadays AI is a buzzword. Everybody is talking about the AI tools and techniques which the students and the Gen Z are using for completion of their assignments, completion of their project work, and everything they are taking help of the AI. Even for writing any email to the faculty member for taking leave application, they are using chat GPT and they are writing the fantastic email, which was not happen earlier. But nowadays Gen Zs are using and utilizing all the AI tools and techniques very effectively to submit their assignments and to complete their projects work as well. So we as a faculty members are also using AI tools to match up their expectations. So AI assisted learning that we are offering, the learning management system, LMS system, is also playing a very important role in the teaching learning method of the Gen Zs. The interactive quiz. So quiz competitions we are organizing, poster competitions, gamification is also a very important way of teaching to the Gen Z students. Simulation. I would like to mention here that we as a university have tied up with Harvard Business School. So we are teaching the case studies of Harvard Business School to all the students, considering that after getting the case study, they will think on it. They will get into the what are the different challenges the companies are facing if it is related to any company, and they will think on it and they will act on it and they will solve that case study. Whatever learning from that case study will be the effective learning than the one-way learning that the faculties are offering in the basic higher education institutes. So case studies are also, we have seen that effective mode of learning for the students along with the simulations. So we would like to promote the active learning methods among all the students, those who are especially Gen Z, like case-based teaching. I already explained to you. Then group discussions. Group discussions is also a very important method by which they feel and they get very much interest in the group discussion. When you give the random topic to the student, they think over it and they try to discuss the various challenges, the opportunities related to that topic among the group. So the peer-to-peer learning, what we have explained by Dr. Kanika, is also a very good part of the active learning process for the Gen Z students. Then the problem solving approach is very important for such kind of students. So we need to give them the problem, and the problem is open for all the students. They need to think logically, they need to think critically to solve that particular problem. So problem solving skill is also important from the Gen Z point of view. Then as a higher institution, our expectation is more connecting towards industry than to the classroom training. So we adopt the blend of industry as well as the classroom training. So live projects, then summer internship programs, then short projects, the projects which are related to the companies of their interest. So we are inculcating the learning method through the industry project and the live project in the students. Then role plays, definitely role plays is also playing a very important role, and which is the best suited method for the Gen Z students. Business simulations and flipped classrooms. We have found that flipped classroom is also a very effective method as far as their learning method, because we give the assignments and the study material before the class. They learn it, they come to the class with the proper learning, and whatever questions they are having, the faculty discuss and the faculty solve that questions on the go in that particular classroom. So active listening and active learning can happen through the flipped classrooms. One more addition that would like to highlight here, that as per National Education Policy 2020, we have started with the choice-based credit system to the students. Nowadays, they don't want to, the Gen Z student don't want to follow the standard curriculum which is given by the university. They would like to have the choices in the selection of the subjects. Like we are giving the choice in terms of whether the course or the subject can be taught in the classroom, or the student can opt for the online learning of that particular subject. So we found that this method is best suited for the Gen Z because they are more inclined towards online and hybrid learning than the classroom learning which we have seen in last 2 years. So choice-based credit system, and even we are giving choices in terms of like selecting the foreign languages as well. Like we are offering German, Japanese, and Korean as a foreign language to all the students. So we are giving them choice to choose the foreign language of their interest. So choice-based credit system and choice-based subject system is very effective, which we have seen in from last 2-3 years. And definitely multidisciplinary courses or multidisciplinary education, which is led by National Education Policy 2020, is also giving more importance in their education, because the student, those who are currently pursuing their BBA, and if they are more inclined to the machine learning, data science, and the different science and nutrition and dietetics type courses, then we are giving freedom to the student to learn the BBA subject along with the other multidisciplinary subjects. So that is also a very effective method that we have experienced from last 2 years. And we are offering the skill enhancement courses, the ability enhancement courses, then value added courses to all the students. So the Gen Z students don't want to go with the core courses. They would like to have the different courses which will develop their ability and employability. So from the point of view of the overall development, the holistic development, we are giving such kind of choices to all the students to get them the holistically development approach and the 360 development. So mentor-mentee scheme that we are currently running in our institute or in our university. So every 20 student will assign by one faculty mentor, and that mentor is taking care of that particular student. What are the different strengths of the student? Then we conduct the SOC analysis, like strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges. Earlier it was threat, but nowadays we can call it as challenges. So SOC analysis the mentor does with all the students, and depend on their weaknesses. We are trying to focus on their weaknesses. We are trying to convert their weaknesses into the strength, and that is also a very effective method that we have observed for the Gen Z students. Apart from that, the role of faculty in the AI era is very important. AI can provide all the answers. Even if you teach in the classroom, the students are having mobile access in our university, so they can just Google it and they see or they cross-check whether the faculty is giving the right teaching to the students or not. So that kind of freedom that we have offered. So before going to the classroom, the faculties are also well equipped with all these AI tools, so that if any student is asking any question, the faculty need to give the answer to that particular question in an effective way. So AI can provide all the answer, but what is the role of a teacher in this AI era? The teacher should provide the context, the wisdom, the values, ethics, mentorship, and of course the human touch or human connection. So technology support learning, but it cannot replace the inspiration that committed teacher will provide. So one more point I would like to highlight here: the Gen Z students are more worried about their careers. We are in the admission process of BBA and MBA. So the very second question the students and the parent ask is, what is your placement track record? So they are not worried about what kind of subject the university is offering, what kind of learning environment the university is offering. They are more worried about, after my education, what package I will get. And here I would like to mention specifically the society is playing very important role, because if any student is getting placement and if he like go to his hometown or her hometown, then the very first question the neighbors or the relative will ask, what is the package that you are getting after the placements? So it is the thing, like package or the salary package is the question which is asked by most of the students. So what we try to inculcate among the students, if you learn proper things, if you develop yourself in terms of the like communication skills, then technical skills, then general awareness, and all the holistic development will be there, then the package will be the part of your overall development. Don't worry about the package in the first go. First, try to learn the new things which are expected by the industry, and then the package will definitely come to you. So building employability alongside education is also a very important task nowadays for the higher education. So we are at our universities teaching the industry applications, then real world problem solving, then entrepreneurship opportunities to all the students, emerging technologies, then future careers. One more problem that we have observed is, if any company comes to the campus for recruitment, even if the student is selected for that company, they think twice while joining to the company. Okay, Even if they join to the company, they will not retain in that company for more than 3 months because of the patience level, because of the short attention span. They think that my friend is getting the good package with X company, so why should I retain in the same company for with this package? So always there is a comparison between the students in terms of the packages, the job roles, and the locations as well. We have seen that the students of Gen Z are more inclined towards the locations which are close to their hometown. Earlier, if you have seen that, I have worked with many different states of India. But if you think about the Gen Z students, they are more inclined to work with their vicinity, their location. They are need to be very close to their friends, their families, their parents. So that is also a negative attitude of the Gen Z student, which we have seen in the placement process. So altogether, this is the challenges and the various teaching methodologies and the pedagogies that we need to adapt while teaching the Gen Z students. So I would like to conclude here the three majority takeaways, like you need to connect with the students, build relationship with the students, engage, like make learning active and relevant, and empower, prepare students for a future that is constantly changing. In this disruptive era of AI, the student need to adapt the changes what is happening in the world. They need to change themselves as per the requirement, and that is the success mantra which I would like to give here for all the Gen Z students. Thank you very much, and thank you, Dr. Anand, for inviting me for this faculty development program. That's all from my end, and it is privilege to interact with the faculty members and the experts from the different schools and colleges, the principals of different schools and colleges. So thank you very much. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amit. It was really wonderful listening to you. And the last thing which you particularly said about the takeaways from your talk, they are really helpful. And I'm sure that the participants must have noted all those takeaways. Uh, After this, I would request Dr. Sophia to take over.
Thank you, Dr. Anand, and my regards to all the speakers who are on the panel. Of course, all the different participants who are there in this group. I wish everyone a very good afternoon. So the topic for today is how do we deal with, I think dealing with is a very strong word, but what I would like to share is my perspective about enabling the teachers, because coming from the background of faculty development and, being a teacher educator and a teacher trainer, I personally believe that we are like the managers of our classroom. When we enter those four walls, it is very much in our hands to change the dynamics of the classroom and how we approach our learners and how we approach the domain and the subject or the content that we are teaching. I think so. While I was preparing for today, and also while agreeing to all my fellow speakers, we all discussed about different characteristics of the Gen Zs. So what I did, I was trying to make a list of all the characteristics, and interestingly, while I was thinking about how we can enable the teachers, there are wonderful learning theories coming from a background of educational psychology. I have always looked up to different educational psychological learning theories, which give us a great insight as to how we can design our classrooms and what happens in the classrooms. So I'm just going to take a few minutes and try and enlist different characteristics of Gen Zs and draw parallels with various learning theories. So first, when we say that one of the major or one of the a characteristic that is constantly being repeated. Even my previous speaker said that one characteristic of Gen Zs is they are quite very distracted, and it's very difficult to hold their attention to. And while I was thinking of this character, this feature, I was reminded of one beautiful learning theory which is put forth by Professor David Osobel, in which he says that, the most important factor for influencing the learning is what the learners already know. And I think at the end of the day, we as teachers, all we want is that the learners should learn. When we go and enter the classroom, when we prepare for our sessions, we have our teaching notes, we have so many preparations done. We use many teaching aids. All we want to do is, or the ultimate aim is that our learners should learn. And Osibel has beautifully explained in his theory where, we as teachers can take the support of the previous knowledge that the learners have, and how that previous knowledge can become like an anchor for the new knowledge, for them to store in their learning systems. So now, so it's very beautiful to understand that we really don't have to start from the scratch, because when a Gen Z arrives in the classroom, they have already, maybe watched a YouTube video explaining the concept. They may have gone to various platforms. They may have even taken help of a chat GPT and, made a summary of the lesson altogether. They may already have watched different videos, animations. They may also have access to learning platforms or learning management systems, maybe such as, a Khan Academy or something like that, where they are actually learning from various teachers other than their school teachers. So what we as teachers have to do is, take this to our advantage. Ask them what they exactly know. Have they tried to relate that to real life? And how can we organize this information? So Osibel has laid a lot of importance to using advanced organizers, because only when the learners see that there is something relevant for them, they are going to pay attention. And I personally believe that learning is a function of will. So while we are talking about this characteristic of the learners being distracted, I think we as teachers have a plus point where we can utilize what they actually know, and we start, focusing more on the context than the content, and using that context as a learning platform, build up new knowledge on it, and introduce new concept to the learners. Talking about a few more characteristics, one of the characteristics of Gen Zs are that they are very extremely sensitive also, even though they may not share it, or, or even though we may not see it on their face or their behavior, but they are sensitive. They are observant. They observe how their peers, how their teachers, how their parents, they treat others, how well or how, in what way they are talking with each other. Students are keenly observing their teachers, their peers, their influencers, and even the social platforms and the technology, or the AI generated content also. So now is a time where teachers are just not role models, but they have even beyond moved that position of being a role model, because now they are kind of the transmitters of knowledge when they enter to the classroom. Gen Zs believe in fairness. Gen Zs are like advocates of equity and equality. Gen Zs believe in digital citizenship, because they are born in a global era. Because now, I mean, I'm sure all of us will remember that there were times where we would follow a particular music band, be it Elvis Presley, or, that was in our teenage, or, in our early 20s, where we got an opportunity to hold on to these cassettes or to this CDs. But see, the Gen Zs, they are already following what this K-pop and all the music bands, not even when they are 10 years of age. So they are global citizens, and they are already have awareness, and they have everything that they need. So when we are talking about the Gen Zs being sensitive, another learning theory that came to my mind was that given by Albert Bandura, where he is giving us the theory of social learning, and he emphasizes the importance of emotional regulation, where he emphasizes the importance of role models. So, I mean, we as teachers, we need to really, really get this into our systems, that students are not just there in the classroom to learn from us, or what we are teaching. Students are actually observing us, and it is very, very likely that students will forget what we taught in a particular lecture, but students will never, or students will rarely forget how we made them feel. So, and that is what they're observing us, because I think one of my previous speaker also said about the emotions being regulated. They really lack it. Why? Because they are not seeing that around us. We as parents, we as teachers are also exhibiting our overwhelmed side to them, because sometimes we as parents think that we are always constantly regulating our behavior at workplace. At least at home, I should have the freedom to express my thoughts and emotions. Teachers are also saying that why should always we be in the best of our mood for our learners? Sometimes we also can show our vulnerable side. But I think these are the points where sometimes we may damage more. It's not about just being artificial, but it's about being aware of our feelings and exhibiting them, expressing them in maybe the best way possible. So that, yes, we do exhibit our human side, but learners also observe and see how we are regulating them. What are we doing of them? Another characteristic that came to my mind of the Gen Zs is the digital learner. They are digital learners, right? They are not only learning from the content, they're also they have access to so many case studies. Right now in our schools, in our colleges, we have very well established libraries. They have a huge database, they have a repository of so many things easily available to them. We have different groups, different influencers even coming to schools. There are now techniques such as group discussions or reflective journals that are becoming quite common in our classrooms today. The usage of AI is now getting legitimized, and students are using AI to do their projects. So they are in a way getting involved in the learning process. And that is why another learning theory, which is called as connectivism, comes into play over here, where we are seeing that teachers is no longer, so when we were doing our psychology, we were taught that, we as teachers don't have to be the sage on the stage, but we have to be the guide by their side. So teachers cannot be like, elevated, sitting on a pedestal and, students looking at them, but we have to be the guide by their side. But interestingly, this has changed now, because now, thanks to the digital world, we are no longer sage on the stage, but we are guide beside the network, because our learners are already into a network. They have their own network of their friends. They have the own network of the learning management systems that they may be following. They have maybe their own network of parents and teachers and different platforms, different libraries, different various learning resources that they're already doing over and above to what happens in a classroom. So where do I as a teacher fit into this network? Am I really a part of that network? Because we as teachers need to be a part of that network if we really want to influence our learners, is something that crossed my mind. So then how do we enter this network is something that we as teachers need to ask ourselves. How do I get myself to their level? How do I understand their interests so that they feel free talking to me, so that they feel free including me in their network? Because unless and until I'm a part of it, I cannot influence them. And influencing is just not about content. It's about the basic human values that we want to be transmitted, because they are the ones who are going to build the next, the society. The last two characteristics, one is they're highly creative. Because we see a great deal of Gen Z who are already entrepreneurs, who are achieving so much. They are writers, they are poets, they are artists, so they're highly creative. That is why they don't like being told. So if we tell them why to do this, if you do this, they'll ask the question why, the way ma'am was explaining. So when they're highly creative, I think another learning theory, which is called as constructivism, comes into play. And constructivism says that because the learners have their own mind and, they have the previous knowledge, they have the ability to build their own knowledge. They have the ability to construct their own knowledge. And I think we as teachers can really use this as to our advantage, where we present some We present the context to them, we present what they have to learn, and we enable them to construct their own knowledge. And here, the relationships between the teacher and the student, the relationship between the parent and the teachers and the institution, they come into play. Because when you're working together to create something, to construct something, it's not about authority, it is about partnership. It no longer is about fear, how will I talk with this person, how will this person listen to me. But it's about complete trust, it's about engagement, it's about facilitating knowledge, it's about facilitating information and bringing it together. It's about bringing in transparency and having open communication, right? And underlining is empathy, because today if I'm at this position, tomorrow I can be in somebody else's position. So I think if when we give a platform to learners to create their own knowledge, construct their own knowledge on the foundation of empathy, I think wonders can happen. And last but not the least, Gen Zs are highly independent. That's how they are. So, I mean, sometimes we as parents get appalled when when we hear our children talking to us, where they don't even hesitate to say, okay, you are not a part of this conversation, so why are you talking? And as mother or father, we get appalled. Oh my goodness, was it really for me? And is that really my son or daughter talking to me? They're highly independent, they're independent thinkers, they know their boundaries. And and I think that is where the whole concept of andragogy, which I believe and I strongly advocate, it comes into picture, where we give the learners the freedom, and we make them accountable for their own learning, comes into picture. And I think if we as teachers are able to take care of these aspects, these different characteristics, taking help of the well-established knowledge of psychology that we already have, I think it won't be a burdensome task entering classrooms and communicating with Gen Zs, and then ensuring that they move forward in the desired direction. And of course, AI is playing a major role, but I would like to leave everyone with one question: is that what is that one thing that AI cannot replace in teaching? I think that question is for everyone to answer. And as I close, I would just like to say one thing, that content can be generated, but connections cannot. So here I depart. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sophia, for those wonderful closing lines. Definitely, it was, as usual, wonderful to listen to you. And specifically, you spoke about that teachers are the managers of classroom, right from that context to the characteristics of Gen Zs and connecting it with the theories which you spoke about. And as far as Gen Zs, the observations which you spoke about, that they do observe teachers. So as we teachers, it's a additional responsibility as teachers for us, because which did not happen in previous ages, it's now happening, that we are being observed, right, left, center, right, everywhere,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and basically, and also a wonderful point as you spoke about, that teachers should be into their network. That's a
Yeah.
wonderful, insight you gave, Dr. Sophia. And yes, Gen Zs are definitely highly creative, and unfortunately, they don't like to be told, and they are highly independent for that matter. Thank you, Dr. Sophia, for those wonderful insights and the closing lines as well.
Thank you.
We
Thank you
now
so
come
much.
to Dr. Pranoti, who is into engineering background, and I'm sure that apart from the school education, the college, the junior college, the senior college education, and management education, engineering is a different kind of a stream and domain altogether. Dr. Pranoti, we would love to hear from you.
Thank you, Dr. Anand. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. Can I share my window, my screen? I think
Yes,
I'm
sure.
not getting.
Yes, you can share. You can share.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a minute. Is it visible?
Yes, it is visible. It is.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Good afternoon, all. And first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Anand for and NFLIG for giving me the opportunity to speak or to share my views on the topic which is very close to all the academicians nowadays. So thank you, sir. And today we know that everyone knows what are Gen Zs, what are their problems, what they do, and how to what are the issues that we as an academicians are facing while teaching them to make the learning more effectively. The challenges are there, but instead of discussing why what are the Gen Zs, why they are behaving like this, I would like to share my views as a solution to deal with this Gen Zs and how to teach the Gen Z students effectively. So thank you, Mr. Anand, once again. I would like to take 3 cases here. Instead of sharing what we can do, I'm going to share the lessons, the 3 most important lessons that I have learned while teaching the Gen Z students in my 28 years of journey in engineering higher education. So the main all these 3 lessons based on engagement, empowerment and encouragement. Like Dr. Amit Patil also had thrown light on some of the issues, some of the points what I'm going to share. So we already know what is how the Gen Zs are. Gen Zs are the digital natives. Gen Zs are they know YouTubes, they know internet, they have the smartphones. They use ChatGPT, they use all the AI tools very effectively. They have very shorter span of attention. Their focus is very, it's very difficult them to focus. At the same time, surprisingly, they are having higher bandwidth. They learn quickly, you can say. And they are globally connected. They are very well aware about how to network, how to connect with the peers, how to connect with the world globally. So the real question here is, it is not that who they are, it is what they need from us. What they need from us for better learning. So I believe that no student generation, I have almost 3 generations, 3 decades, more than 2 decades I have been here in this field. So I have seen different kind of students, and I believe no student is problematic. Just the challenge is with us only, with us as a teacher. So we need to modify ourselves to deal with these with every generation of students. So let's begin with my actual talk that I learned 3 lessons I told you. The first one is, there are 3 E's. First is engagement, then empowerment, and third is encouragement. So engagement, you need to engage students, you need to involve the students in your teaching journey, in their teaching learning journey. You need to empower the students, because students grow when they become contributors and leaders. So when you empower them, when you make them leaders, then the learning process grow effectively. Third one is encouragement. They have AI. They live in AI generation, AI environment. But always there is a need of a mentor, there is a need of a teacher, there is a need of a guide who always encourage them, who believes in them and encourage them, solve their difficulties, solve their issues, and help them to grow. So these 3 E's are very important for today's generation, or for every generation rather, I would say. So the first E is engagement. Here actually I would like to share some my own experiences, sir. I'll not go theoretically because this is the same, we are also facing the same problem like Gen Z. Our focus is not, the time span of focus or attention time span is very less. So I want to make it more interactive. I just crisply or very shortly, briefly, I would share my experiences, my 3 experiences with these 3 E's. So first was engagement. So a few years back, we have organized a guest lecture for second year engineering students on the subject control systems. Usually we arrange all these kinds of lectures, guest lectures or expert talks for our students, and students attend the lecture, they sit quietly, they listen, and then they go with their own takeaways of different proportion. We have done one experiment here. We have already shared the videos of the topic which the expert is going to cover. We have shared the videos, and then we asked them, we have given them assignment that please go through the videos and just take your own notes. Maybe they just point wise, just whatever you have understood, you just write it down in your notebook. You be prepared with your questions, your doubts, and then come for the lecture. And students did that. They have done it. During the session was very interactive. The effect was awesome. They came with the preparations, pre-preparations you can say. They came with some prerequisites with them. The students asked so many questions, they answered the questions, and they could relate whatever the guest was saying, whatever the guest was trying to deliver. So that was an awesome experiment, and the outcome was amazing. The guest speaker, he has shared that I have delivered so many lectures in my life, but this was the best session, best interactive session, and that too at the second year level. Small kids are there. So it was a very fruitful experiment that we did, and we got a good outcome. So the key takeaway from this experiment, I would like to say that engagement is very important. And these Gen Z students, they are not unwilling to learn. They never unwilling to learn, but they simply refuse to be a passive recipient. They ask questions, they need the answers, they need the relevance. So as a facilitator, as a teacher, we should design these kind of experiences, and not just we should deliver the lectures plainly, because information already they are having on a single click. Everything today also, whatever we have discussed, everything is available. But if someone is telling you, if someone is sharing it with you in an innovative manner, then it becomes fruitful. So this was my first takeaway from my experience, that is engagement of the students. Engagement in learning process or teaching process is very much important. Second point I would like to highlight is empowerment. We should empower the students. We should take them in mainstream in the process of learning. We empower them. We should identify the leaders in the students, and which will make the teaching learning process more effective. In our engineering college, Wadia Engineering College, every engineering colleges used to have clubs, technical clubs like Robo Club, Mechatronics clubs, or different technical clubs are there, and there we have observed that our students, they work day and night, and in those clubs the students from all different branches are there, like E&TC students, electronics and telecommunication students, then we have mechanical branch, we have automation and robotics, computers. So every stream students are there in the clubs. Initially, when we established these kind of clubs, we as a faculty used to mentor the students. We used to guide, we used to teach them the basic things, basic fundamentals, how to go with it, how to design, how to learn the basic concepts, then how to take part in the competitions, design, how to solve the design and all. But later on we observed that students are so efficient that junior students learn from the senior students. Instead of the faculty, the senior students, they can communicate with the junior students, and they make them expert in the subject. Like even a mechanical background student could also do a programming or coding effectively as compared to other students. So this is how the senior students or junior students used to get knowledge from senior students. So now our faculty members are only the mentors. They just guide them, they just give them the direction, they provide mentorship. But the senior student, they arrange the workshops for junior students, they teach them all the basic things required for all these national competitions or technical skill sets, and junior students learn, they grow, they compete, and they become competent. So this is how, when you empower the student, the role of teacher here is only to identify those students who can teach the junior students, who can communicate effectively with the junior students, and the process is going on since many years now. This is a practice in our college, that senior to junior interaction or guidance from senior to junior students, and that too at all the multidisciplinary levels. So this is how the outcome we are getting by empowering the student. This is just a simple example, a case I have taken. So many cases we have for empowering the students and get the good results. So the key takeaways from this is, faculty can create opportunities. You just create the opportunity, student give you the momentum, or they can create the momentum. So this is how Gen Zs are learning nowadays very effectively, rather than sitting in the classroom and getting one-way communication or one-way instructions from the teachers. Third point I would like to highlight is that encouragement. This is very important, because here where there is a line between the AI or all the things available on internet and the role of the teacher, the information provider and the mentor. So the information we get from the online media or digital media, it is not sufficient, because if some student go in depression, you cannot take him out of that depression with the help of online or digital media. Certainly there is a structured counselor or a teacher or a human intervention is required. So this is where you should encourage the students, you should believe in them, identify their potential, and you should guide them. So encouragement is very much important in this era, specifically Gen Zs. So I would like to share again one short experience. As a HOD, I need to sign on students' no objection certificates when they leave the college. So one day, one student came to my office, and he asked me to sign the NOC. And he was rather, I think, second-year student. So I said, why are you leaving so early? You are just in second year. He said, ma'am, I had failed in many subjects, and now I don't want to continue the education. I just asked, okay, if you leave engineering, what is your future plan? Is there any second option, second B plan? plan B is ready. He said no. He did not have any answer. I understood everything. I just talked to him. I mentored him. I just consoled him. He had a fear that how he can face, how he will face his peer, that is students, how he will face the his parents, the social barrier, social pressure was there, and many questions a normal teen is facing nowadays. So I just mentored him. I just gave him the examples of our former students, that many of our students who have suppose 1 or 2 years down, they have utilized those years when they are at home, when they are not in the college continuing their education, that gap or that year, they have used that year for achieving different technical skill sets required for projects, required for basic training skills like programming skills, core engineering skills set required for the projects and all. So students are using those years. Usually students they do internships, they use those years for acquiring these kind of skill sets, and when they again join in their next academic year, it was observed that they outperformed their classmates because they have used that break very effectively, focusing on 2 or 3 skill sets. And then later we have observed that in their future also they are very, very much successful in their career. So I gave certain examples to him, and I encouraged him that he should not quit the education, should not quit the academics. And then I told him, okay, now you go home. I'm not going to sign it today. I'll sign it tomorrow. You just think of it and then you come. If still again you are ready to leave, I will sign your form. He didn't turn back. He didn't come to me. He continued his education. Then after that, after graduation, he completed his master's. He has started his own company. This is a very good example, I can tell you. He started his own company, and now he is providing internships to our current students. So you can understand, the depth of this kind of thing. I have not done a very big task. I just encouraged him. I just say that, okay, I believe in you, you can do it. And that those a few minutes of encouragement now is a great success for him, as well as us as a teacher. So these Gen Zs are, you can say they are very emotional. Like sir has also said, Sophia ma'am has also shared that they are very emotional. We should handle them very delicately, very empathetically, and like a mother does for her kids. So this was a great example that you should encourage the students, and the teacher should give beyond the classroom teaching. You should not only instruct the students, only inform the students, but you should be a mentor, a guiding star with them. So a teacher may forget a lectures delivered years ago, but a student never forgets a moment teacher believes his or her potential. So that is very important thing I would like to share. So all these 3 takeaways or 3 things I wanted to share with you all today. And at the conclusion, I'll say our role is evolving, and that actually a very good thing as a teacher to handle the Gen Zs. Our role is evolving. Previously, we were just the information provider, and now we need to become mentor and learning facilitator, because every information they are already having with them. Earlier, we were only one-way content deliverer. We just went to the class, opened the PPTs, we just explained them effectively. They understood, and then we came back, and that's all. But now, the critical thinking approach should be increases. Our approach is to make them think critically, to make them think innovatively, to make them aware, ready for asking different questions, relevant questions, analyze the things. So here our role is changing. like I said, answer dispenser. Earlier we used to answer their questions, and now we make them, we should make them the experience designer innovatively. Earlier, whatever the things were there in the textbook, we used to go and we used to teach them. But now it is not sufficient, because they have the information, they have the data beyond the textbooks. They have the world open in front of them, so it doesn't work. We should motivate them, we should inspire them, we should guide them, we should always encourage them. So information is everywhere, but wisdom still comes from the teachers. So AI cannot replace teachers. So this is what we have just discussed, that students we should make them aware about to improve their critical thinking. We should make them to ask meaningful questions. They should learn. We should make the environment so that collaboratively they can learn, they can understand each other, and they can learn collaboratively. We should enhance their problem solving skills, how to apply the knowledge. They know everything, but we should teach them how to make use of what they know. And by using their knowledge, how they can innovatively build something, product development or a project development or any other things. Rather, I will speak, I'm speaking in the perspective of engineering. So our task is to make the student ready to solve the real-time problems of society. So you should make them capable of all these things. So you can say students may change, technology may change, but teaching tools, teaching pedagogies may change, but learning still happens when students are engaged, empowered, and encouraged. So thank you. This is my point of view. Thank you once again, Dr. Amit, Dr. Anand, for giving me opportunity to share my views, and thank you all the speakers, because I also came to know many things in this particular discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Pranoti. It was really, really, really good to listen to you, and definitely, as the three E's which you spoke about, that engagement, empowerment, and encouragement is what the Gen Zs today want. And we as teachers are supposed to give that particularly. And the excellent takeaway also from all those three E's with real examples actually made your thoughts and insights wonderful. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, sir.
Now that we have all the speakers shared their thoughts and insights, let us go to the question answer session, which we have now. I'll just share my screen. So all about what we talked about dealing with and teaching Gen Z students, and all the speakers have given their insights, perspective, experiences, as well as solutions as well. Let us have a quick round of question and answers. Few initial questions I would like to pose to the speakers and the participants as well, because we all are learners in a day. So one of the questions which came to my mind was, many teachers feel that today's students are more likely to question authority, challenge opinions, and expect explanations rather than instructions. How can educators maintain discipline and respect while encouraging openness and critical thinking? But I feel all the speakers have already answered these questions in their own way. And we have all known now how we are able to address the Gen Zs about all these aspects as far as this first question goes. As far as second question which I have in mind, that in an era where AI can provide answers instantly, what should teachers focus on teaching that technology cannot easily replace. So, any thoughts from the speakers about this aspect? Just a quick thought would do fine.
Dr. Anand, I was thinking that this point easily says that AI cannot be a mentor. If you just look at this new gen therapy that they are taking, asking Chat GPT like their questions and finding a friend there. They cannot mentor, they can only reciprocate what answer they have on a universal platform. But as teachers are concerned, they have this emotional maturity with which they can effectively help the children more than the AI. And AI cannot speak to the parents. Obviously, when they are minors and when there are guidance there, um, AI cannot satisfy them. So, if a teacher can effectively take the lead, I suppose that is more than enough and sufficient. So, that is my thought on this.
Thank you, Dr. Livia, for your perspective here. And the last question, maybe if you could give one piece of advice to every faculty member teaching Gen Z students tomorrow morning, what would it be? I would like to have a quick, short answer from all the speakers. That's a thought-provoking question, I'm definitely sure. But a quick thought, a random thought would be fine as well. Any of the speakers can take up.
Pranoti ma'am, are you taking this question or like?
Yeah, you can, you please.
I just want to add that when I saw this word advice, this is exactly what I addressed in my beginning,
Yes.
in the beginning, that it won't be an advice, but from a person who has experienced it, I can tell them that every class in the beginning, I tell them that we are here to listen, not judge. So we all have been what we are today from the experiences and the behaviors that we have seen, the sum total of everybody around us. So we have some kind of assumptions and judgment criteria in our mind. Keep that away while talking to anybody at all. Let it be learners, let it be elders, or let it be your colleagues. That's the thing that I want to add. Thank you.
That was really wonderful, Dr. Livia. I open the session for question and answers from the participants. Dear participants, if you have any questions, we can have one or two questions from your side. Anybody would like to ask, please unmute yourself and you can ask that question. I would appreciate if you also switch on your video. I hope, dear participants, that this session was a very good, insightful session for all of you. And therefore, a question from you is definitely welcome. Anybody, dear participants, anybody would like to ask maybe a experience or maybe a challenge which you are facing already and you would like to have a solution or a advice from the speakers today?
Hello, sir.
Yes, Namrata ma'am, please go ahead.
My question is for Dr. Pranoti ma'am. Actually, what skills will be important for future engineers, ma'am?
What skills will be important for future engineers? I think, correct?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Correct. Yes.
Okay, of course, technical skills are important to achieve for an engineer. Along with that, technical skills are important. Along with that, the student should develop their critical thinking, their communication, then their ability to adapt, because technology, as an engineer, we deal with the technology, and technology continuously, as we know, technology is changing continuously. So their learning learnability and adaptability should be enhanced, should be increases. And finally, there are communication skills and collaboration. So no, you can you know that no product is, you can't say that this product is completely mechanical, this product is completely electronics or something. So you cannot segregate it branch wise. So a multidisciplinary approach should be there in an engineering student. So that is required.
Thank you,
And
Dr. Pranoti.
this can be done by collaboration. So collaborative attitude and a teamwork is essential for a good engineer.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay, thank you,
Pranoti.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Anybody else would like to ask the last question, which we can take for today?
Good evening, sir.
Yes, Mahesh sir, please.
Yes,
Please go
myself
ahead.
Mahesh Kedkar, and I am teaching to the agriculture students from last 8 years in private institutes. I am observing long ago that if I left the 10 to 20% student, the remaining 70 to 80% students are not willing to do anything, even attending the classes or at our time that if I am not willing to attend the classes, I am interested in the playing some games or attending some or participating in some cultural activities or any other things. But today I observe that 70 to 80% students are not willing to do other than lectures or say listening. So what will be the solution for that? To to engage in other activities also.
Thank you, Mahesh sir, for asking that questions. Dear speakers, anybody of you can answer this?
Yeah. See, am I audible? Yeah. Uh, in our engineering college or in all graduate UG colleges, we have a concept like weak learners and advanced learners. So what sir was asking, that the solution about weak learners. The strong learners are always there. We need not worry about them. The task is to encourage them for taking up advanced skills so that they will be more successful. The major issues is about slow learners or weaker learners. So for these, we can have different activities. The main thing is they are not coming to the institute, they are not coming to the classrooms. So major challenge is let them encourage so that they will come to the classroom. So for such kind of students, we can all these co-curricular extracurricular activities play a very important role. So we have observed that many students, they are very much enthusiastic in all such activities rather than the studies. So let them first come. Let them participate in these extracurricular activities like cultural activities, sports activities, or music, dance, whatever other art exhibition you can arrange. So these kind of extracurricular activities, you ask them to organize those activities, because when you give the responsibility, they will feel something empowered, and then they come to the college, they will make friends, and then when they because these things are very easier for such kind of students sometimes to organize such kind of non-technical events, and they do it very effectively. So once they do it very effectively, they have their automatically their responsibility, they become more responsible, and their perspective changes. And you can observe that in the next year they start, their academic performance also start increasing. So this is what we have observed and we have experimented. So this is my perspective.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
I think we can take the last question. I think somebody raised the hand previously. Can you please unmute yourself and ask the question, please? Darshan? Darshan sir?
Actually, it's ma'am. And
Yes.
I had the same question which ma'am answered previously, that there are a lot of absenteeism of students, and we see this in our college and in other colleges as well. As an assistant professor, I am just newly joined assistant professor. So how to handle this? And ma'am actually explained it very beautifully. So yeah. And thank you so much. It was very beautiful experience. This was our first FDP from our college. We three people from our college joined it, and we understood a lot of things. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a great feedback, and I'm really happy that some success we have definitely achieved today. And yes, now we are coming to the close of the faculty development program today. Just a concluding note and the vote of thanks from my side, from as NFLIG also. And definitely, I'm sure that all of us, right from the participants and the speakers as well, will agree that it was a wonderful session today indeed. I would really thank our distinguished panelists for sharing their wonderful, valuable insights and experiences today. Your perspectives reaffirm that while institutions may differ, our mission as teachers remains the same. And that is what? About to nurture confident, competent, ethical, and future ready learners. I suppose understanding Gen Z is not about changing who we are as educators, but it is about evolving how we as educators connect, engage, and inspire. The future belongs to those who learn, unlearn, and relearn. Together, let us build an education ecosystem where Gen Z does not just succeed, but truly thrives. Let us reimagine education, rethink engagement, and redefine learning for the Gen Z generation. I thank you all for being a part of this encouraging and enriching and very insightful conversation today. Just to wrap up, just would like to let you know that 24th June, we are celebrating the National Learning and Development Day nationally. And for that, we have created a webinar with a theme called as the future of education, jobs, and employability, where the speakers would be from the school background, Fatima Agarkar, from the higher education, the Pro Vice Chancellor of Pune University, from the corporate, Uma Alluri, she is the head of Tata Advanced System, and Amita Karve, a former talent management and leadership development head at Mahindra Group. I'm sharing the registration link for the 24th January webinar. The webinar is absolutely free for all. So please, I would request to see your chat boxes here to have the link to register. I'm sending the link to all of you. It's just a simple Google form which you have to fill up, and so that we can send the calendar invite and the Zoom link for the same. So I request all the participants to take benefit of this, because we as educators are definitely at a middle point of employability, jobs, and education inbuilt also. So we as educators would definitely be beneficial listening to those industry and education stalwarts. Last but not the least, again, thank you so much for attending the session today. I'm sure it was a wonderful session for all of us. Once again, thank you, the entire panel, for coming in today, spending your time today, and enriching and enlightening all of us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, please click the webinar link registration. Please do not forget. Thank you so much.
Hello, sir. How we can get our certificate of today's session?
You will get it on email by tomorrow.
Okay.
Do not worry.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.